really makes perhaps a Terran bio not optimal in the late game. But then again, Terran mech isn't really that fast either, especially since Hellions no longer get that plus 10 damage for, blue flame Hellions into a probe mineral line as the game does get underway. Here we are in game 5 now. All right, game 5 now here on Tal'Darim Altar. Rocker spawning as the purple Protoss on the top right-hand side of the map at what I'll call the 2 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Poke Hair spawning as the orange Terran.
Yeah, I'm surprised these two players were so cordial in the opening. Good luck, have fun, and you too, and things like that. Because there was a bit of drama going on in the lobby before the game. Apparently, both players wanted purple, and Rocker joined the game first and claimed it, and Poke Bunny joined afterwards, and seemed pretty disappointed about his color choice. Orange, not a big pro player color here, so he's upset by the fact that he can't play purple.
Yeah, but I gotta admit, whatever color you choose, don't most pro players just use like ally color and I'm red and you're green?
Basically.
All right. So even though they did choose colors, we'll see if that even makes a difference as Rocker now scouting in the wrong direction. It will be quite some time. Rocker losing a little bit of resources, but then again, Protoss buildings are imba in that they don't need a worker to sit there and maintain it like a Terran player does. So Poke Bunny is opening up with that barracks. We'll see if he goes for an early refinery or if he tries to go for, say, a fast command center. So far, it looks like Poke Bunny moving out with this SCV. He's going to be scouting with this, and then perhaps going to be following up with an 18 SCV to go for a gasless expand.
Yeah, it looks like both players probably going to go for the early expo. Like I said, a lot of times we see the one gate, one racks expand in this matchup, and both players are fine with it. They say, I'm going to get on 2 bases, so are you. Then we'll go from there. It's sort of the way the metagame's developed. I know there are counter strategies. You can go for, obviously, 3 or 4 gate pressure, and then 3 racks pressure can be pretty powerful as well against an early expansion, but players are getting better at defending against those sort of counter plays. Protoss know that they have to bring some probes to help fight sometimes, and if they're able to get on those 2 bases to their opponent's 1, they have the advantage, and Terran are able to use bunkers to try to defend against early gateway pressure when they go 2 base and the Protoss goes 1. So both races have sort of figured out how to get on 2 bases pretty safely in the early going. I think that's why we see it so often.
Yeah, but right now, Rocker's not going on 2 bases, and the timing was actually a little strange. He actually got his assimilator after he placed down the cybernetics core, so right now he doesn't even have enough energy for warp gate or a stalker, and that's going to be a little bit strange as we now see a nexus coming in, and I'm not quite sure about this timing and what the idea was behind it. I've seen a lot of Protoss players as of late set up double assimilators with 2 probes on each gas with less diminishing returns, and that works out a little bit better than what we saw here as we now finally see a stalker and warp gate tech being researched. But it really felt like Rocker was really tied up and mineral locked for quite some time, even though he did delay his gas.
Well, I mean, he delayed his gas a little bit, and maybe that allows him to set down that Nexus, 10, 15 seconds earlier, just because he had heavier mineral production. He knows that he doesn't have to rush out a Stalker. The SCV is going to get in there anyway, not a huge deal. His opponent knows exactly what he's doing, and he doesn't have to rush out gateway tech because he's not putting on gateway pressure here, and he doesn't imagine he'll have to defend against, a 3 racks pressure. So I think maybe that was a purposeful delayed gas just to allow that Nexus to kick in, 15 seconds, earlier than it might have.
All right, Rocker now going to try to test the waters. Sees a whole bunch of units here. This is not going to be good. The Stalker's chasing after the Marine's chasing after the Stalker, but the Zealot is going to get in a lot of damage, and this is going to be interesting. Rocker may actually come out ahead in this engagement as the Stalker does move faster, has superior range, and Poke Bunny has to be careful. Apparently, the Zealot doesn't know how to turn corners all too well. He's not an ambi-turner, can't turn left well, as Rocker now going after the Marines.
Yeah, actually a nice little piece of micro there by Poke Bunny to save a few of those Marines, or at least allow them to get a little bit more damage. And Rocker, importantly, with that Zealot, sees just constant Marines coming out. So he knows that there's probably no add-ons yet, as it's just a lot of Marines, and he can prepare for that you know, as he might, since he knows that add-on's going to be a little bit late, tech's going to be a little bit late. You know, no combat shield, no stim in the early going.
Yeah, Poke Bunny with 5 barracks right now. And we do see the double gas expand coming in from Poke Bunny. We'll see whether or not these Marines are going to be making a move out. There are 4 Stalkers, and the Stalkers, are going to come in. How much damage can they do here? Those Marines do have less of a range, and the Stalkers are just going to trade very well with these Marines in this, like, this standoff. And wow, this duel of Stalkers versus Marines. Poke Bunny really just tipping his hand. Even though Rocker has not seen the inside of Poke Bunny's base, he knows that there's got to be a ton of barracks unless there are a bunch of reactors down, as the Stalkers are once again going to test the waters once more, and the Stalkers really with that range benefiting and going to keep the Marines inside, as the Marines are not doing a good job here at all.
Yeah, Stalker's so good with their shields, their range advantage, and the fact that there's no stim yet, so they can just constantly kite. And Rocker looks like he's going to be putting on some pressure here. He's got a Zealot coming in here to tank a little bit of damage. And, you know, Poke Bunny's not able to, you know, really tech up behind this. He's got a factory coming. He's got 1 add-on, but he's just going to be stuck on this tech for a while. We see reacting with a 2nd and 3rd bunker. And behind this, Rocker is just, you know, macroing up. He's got a slight probe advantage, 36 to 32. And he can even start his tech as he puts on some light pressure here before stim finishes.
All right, we'll see what's going to happen here. The Stalkers are still engaging and just trading damage on shields for damage on a bunker. A very nice trade. The Stalkers, one does get focused down. Zealots now over exposing themselves, getting a little bit too close to the action. Poke Buddy needs to get a Marauder, and he needs to get it inside. You can now see Stalker engaging up against a bunker. That is not a good trade. Rocker needs to get out of there. Not quite sure what's going on. Rocker is not paying attention, and he needs to pull away with these units now.
Yeah, he did have quite an advantage there, taking down a lot of Marines without losing any Stalkers, but you're right, he's losing a Stalker or 2 here and there, and he might have to pull back. Poke Bunny actually shot ahead in terms of supply, 64 to 59, and he does have his starport on the way, so he's going to be transitioning to very, very heavy bio with upgrades. He's got stim about halfway done. Nothing else in terms of upgrades, but he's adding a 2nd and 3rd tech lab as well, so he's going to have a lot of Marauders out in the field about the same time as he's got medevacs hitting the field as well. So Rocker really needs to tech up. Instead, he's taking a 3rd, and I'm not sure he's going to be able to take on these forces with just non-upgraded charge lots, which is looks like what he's going for right now.
Right now, he is also going into level 1 weapons. He should be getting that armor upgrade as well as soon as it is available. There you go. And I think Rocker, at this point, he needs to start shooting down the destructible rocks. His hidden expansion here at the 3 o'clock location, it may not get scouted out. And as long as Poke Bunny thinks that Rocker's trying to take the typical 3rd, he may not actually scout out that 3 o'clock location there. Poke Bunny doesn't see it. Poke Bunny is salvaging some bunkers as well. The Marines do not have stim yet. They will in just a moment. Combat shield should be coming in momentarily. Concussive shell and combat shield should be coming in momentarily, as we now see medevacs. And the Zealots are taking down the rocks here. Psystorm being added as the weapon of choice. And as long as Rocker gets in some early High Templar, if he can get 2 High Templar with 2 Psystorms each, that may just be enough to handle this bio play. But Poke Bunny already on the move, and he may only be able to get 1 Psystorm from each of these High Templar.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned that Rocker's trying to do too much, you know, in just a little amount of time here. Establishing a 3rd, taking up to Templar, taking up to 1-1, and charge. He's going to try to chrono these upgrades to get him to finish, because Poke Bunny has got a very scary army right now. Charge is complete, but there's no sentries for shield. It looks like these forces will go down before the upgrades finish, and it looks like the High Templar have just enough for a storm. Storm is finished. A big storm there, doing a ton of damage to this Marines. That's exactly what Rocker needed to fend these Marines off. Another storm coming. He's got enough for 1 more storm, and Poke Bunny's got to turn his little floppity tail and retreat here. He was able to take down the 2 forges there, so he's going to be ahead here on upgrades, as he's got 1-1 about halfway done. Now Rocker transitioning into double robotics, so I imagine he's going to go for some pretty heavy Colossi play here, you know, to try to take on the bio here from Poke Bunny.
Yeah, Rocker is currently, for some reason, has 3 probes idle on next to the assimilator, wondering if they should go inside at the 3rd base, but Rocker should be able to get up to 6 gas in just a moment. That does allow for constant production of Colossi off of 2 robotics facility, even if you chrono boost them, and then still have a little bit more for later on. Here we go. Are we going to perhaps get a Psy Storm? Zealots are charging in. There's a Psy Storm. Beautiful Psy Storm. Archon's also engaging as well. And now the units are backing off. The Archon is merging, but I don't believe Rocker... I don't know about this. SCV is now trying to come in and repair. Is it going to be enough? 3 Archons on the field, and a very good trade so far. And Poke Bunny says GG.
Those Archons so huge there. Just a lot of DPS and a lot of tanking. And Poke Bunny just did not have the forces after those beautiful storms by Rocker. You hardly ever see early game just a storm or 2 turn things. Oftentimes it's the late game, the storms come in, the Colossi come in. You're not really sure whether the storms, were the deciding factor, but in this game, basically three brilliant storms, 2 defensively and 1 offensively. He actually targeted offensively the Marines instead of the Marauders, so I was wondering when he was going to fire off that storm. The High Templar was basically in a dangerous position. I was rooting for the storm to go off before the Templar was focused down, but he waited until the Marines were all clumped together. He took those down and then pushed in with those very powerful and tanky Archons, and a quick GG there from Poke Bunny.